Hey, thanks for tuning in today. I am sharing an article I wrote on today's Work Fame publication. So if you're not part of that, I suggest it's free. You join it. The address is just open your browser and go to workfa.me. I'll link to it in the show notes. But today's article, started writing it about why podcast hosting has been so good for my career. And then I ended up taking a different angle. This is the beauty of writing, is that as you start writing, you're like, oh, I don't know about this. And you start testing your own ideas. Look, I think the original idea has legs, but this one got me more excited today. So here's the article. The title is, If the Average Person Knew This About First Impressions, They'd Become Instantly Credible. The $107 fix that'll make you impossible to ignore. No awkward self-promotion required. A few weeks ago, I met up with an old client and she said something that made me laugh. I told her I'd write about it, so here we are. You know what I remember about first meeting you, Leanne? She said over coffee. It was your microphone. The moment you joined that WebEx call with that mic, I knew you weren't like any other consultant I'd worked with. I nearly choked on my cappuccino. Of all the things that could have made an impression, it was my $107 microphone from JB Hi-Fi. The accidental prop that changed everything. While you think you have to attend every networking event or master the art of the perfect humble brag, I accidentally stumbled upon the world's simplest career differentiator, a microphone. I didn't buy it to build my brand. I bought it because I was starting a podcast and needed something better than my laptop's built-in mic. It was a simple USB microphone, a plug and play. It took me 30 seconds to set up. But that little piece of equipment has done so much for my work fame. Gosh, even last month, I jumped onto a Q&A call with strangers. It was a round-robin Zoom Q&A, and when it was my turn, I asked one question, 30 seconds of talking max. A few moments later, a fellow guest, Tim Davis, who I met on that call, was kind enough to share, Leanne had instant credibility the moment she spoke. What? I wasn't the guru in the meeting. I was there just asking another question. How did that happen? Well, the next comment in chat was, Leanne, where did you get that microphone? True story. While other consultants blend into a sea of laptop audio, I'm the one who sounds like I have it together. Audio quality equals perceived competence. And it's not just my opinion. There's science behind this. A USC study found that poor audio makes people less likely to trust you, even when the words and the message are exactly the same. If your audio sounds fuzzy, people rate you as less intelligent, less likable, and less important. Researchers call this the Fluency Effect. If something's hard to process, our brains assume it's not credible. In other words, your mic might be undermining your message before you even finish saying hi. The good news is a microphone costs less than a decent bottle of wine. The psychology of props, or why this actually works. The microphone isn't just about audio quality. It's about what psychologists call signaling. When you show up to a video call with professional audio while everyone else sounds like they're calling from inside a washing machine, you're unconsciously communicating, I take this seriously, I invest in quality, I think about details, I respect your time and ears. It's the business equivalent of wearing a good watch or having a firm handshake, except it costs $107 and works on every single call. Signaling happens whether you control it or not. Every crackly connection, every sorry, you're breaking up, every time someone has to ask you to repeat yourself, that's signaling too. Because, can you hear me okay? Isn't exactly a power move. Unfair? Absolutely. But our brains make these snap judgments in milliseconds. And what blew my mind was realizing how signaling works both ways. When I click a link to jump onto a call, I swing the microphone stand over to just under my mouth and suddenly I'm propelled into Leanne Showtime mode. This simple trigger makes me sit up straighter and reminds me that my words matter. The hidden signal of professional signal. We're constantly sending and receiving tiny signals about status, competence, and desirability. Most of it happens below conscious awareness, but our brains are incredibly good at picking up patterns. For example, if you show up first to every meeting, you signal eagerness. If you arrive 5 minutes late, you signal that you're busy with important things, or maybe that you lack respect for other people. I tend to interpret that behavior as the latter. Punctuality is one of my boring core values. You judge the person who's flustered by the mute button differently than the one who handles tech issues smoothly. You unconsciously rank people based on whether they ask, when works for you, which is junior energy, or you offer specific time slots to catch up, which is main character energy. The microphone was just my entry point into understanding that we're all constantly broadcasting signals about our professional value. Final thought. The lesson isn't buy a microphone, although honestly you should. And the microphone I'm using right now is the ATR 2100, that OG microphone from back in 2018. But the lesson is that sometimes the smallest changes create the biggest impact. And look, I'm not saying the microphone is magic. You still need to know what you're talking about. You still need to deliver value and build real relationships. But in a world where everyone sounds the same and blends together, sometimes the difference between being forgotten and being remembered is as simple as being the person who sounds like they know what they're doing. So what signal are you sending? Right now, you're signaling something to your boss, colleagues, clients, and industry peers. The question is, what? Take a moment to audit the signals you're unconsciously broadcasting. These micro moments add up to macro impressions about your competence and professionalism. The microphone taught me that we're all constantly broadcasting, pun intended, a professional value. Most of us just aren't aware of what we're transmitting. Yes, that's the post. And I wrote, P.S. If your team's being overlooked, not because of talent, but because they don't know how to signal it, I can help. Reply with the word signal and I'll send you more info. So just feel free to email me or DM me if you're on social media, if you'd like details around that. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.